Today I'm making an elderberry elixir. So an elixir is a type of herbal preparation I learned from herbalist Lisa Ganora, and her version of an elixir is combining an infused honey. So you infuse herbs into honey, and then you mix that with equal parts of an herbal tincture or tinctures. And the resulting thing you get is an elixir. So there's another popular elderberry product, elderberry syrup. So why am I making an elderberry elixir as opposed to an elderberry syrup? Because they are kind of similar. One is that an elderberry elixir has a lot less sugar. And I love elderberry syrups, don't get me wrong, but in some cases, I don't want to be consuming that much sugar every single day when I'm taking this formula. So because an elderberry elixir is half honey, half tincture, you're getting a lot less sugar compared to an elderberry syrup. Another reason is that I like how many opportunities there are to get a lot of potent herbs into the elixir. Because you're infusing herbs into the honey and then you're adding in herbal tinctures, just a lot of opportunity to mix and match them as well. And then finally, herbal elixirs, because there are alcohol-based tinctures in there, they can last indefinitely under refrigeration as long as you have the right percentage of alcohol. Generally, elderberry syrups and other syrups don't last as long. This is the first time I'm making an elderberry elixir. I'm not sure why I'm filming it because it could go very wrong. However, just whenever you're learning a skill, it's really great just to throw yourself into it, try new things, and accept that failure is a part of the journey. And so mostly, I'm not expecting to fail, okay? But it might not turn out exactly how I want it. So I can make notes and say, oh, I really wish that was stronger, or I want to use more of this herb to pull out that flavor and that medicinal action more. So I'm going to go through all the steps of making an elixir, which is infusing the honeys, picking the herbal tinctures I want, making those tinctures if you have to, mixing it all together, and then I'll try that resulting elixir. And maybe I'll give a few notes for my future self there. Okay, the first part of making an elixir is to infuse honey with an herb, or you could do multiple infused honeys with different herbs, which is what I'm doing for this elixir. I'm going to do elderberry, of course, because it is an elderberry elixir, and I'm also going to add in a ginger infused honey. Now, I actually did the ginger infused honey yesterday because for tougher parts of the plant, ginger is a root, you can infuse that for 5 or 6 hours. So I took care of that, and today I'll be infusing elderberries into honey. I harvested them last year, probably, I don't know when they fruit, August, September, late summer, and yeah, I've been procrastinating on making something with them. I've had the idea to do this elixir for so long, so I'm finally doing it now. So I'm going to do a ratio of 1 part elderberry to 1.5 parts honey. That's what you do for making an infused honey. So I'm going to do 300 milliliters of elderberry to 450 milliliters honey. Now we're heating the elderberry and honey mixture. And so over the next 2 hours, I'm going to infuse the honey. And something to keep in mind is that anytime that you heat honey, you will kill off some of the awesome things in honey. But I'm going to keep this to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, no more than 140 degrees, because at that temperature, there's still so many things in honey that are really healing and nourishing. So basically every 15 minutes, I want to be checking the temperature, and I also want to be stirring it to distribute the heat. Ooh, that is thick. It's going to get a lot more liquidy as it heats up. I could have thawed the elderberries. That probably would have been better. Again, we're learning. The honey is a lot more liquidy now. It's not as thick because I put the elderberries in frozen, which probably wasn't the best idea. But it's looking good right now. Finally reached temperature, 130 degrees about. I've turned off the heat because the water is still really warm and I just want to make sure it won't overheat and hurt that honey. So now that I'm at temperature, I can start counting the 2 hours of infusing time. And so I'll continue to mix the honey at least every 15 minutes and keep an eye on the temperature, turn the heat back on, turn it up and down, all that. It's already such a nice color, like a pinkish pink color. So that's a great sign. So now that I have the elderberry and honey heating and infusing, I'm going to switch over to think about what tinctures I want to put into my elixir. So the herbs that I'm going to put in my elixir are herbs that, together with the elderberry and the ginger, would be really supportive for a respiratory illness. Specifically, I'm thinking something like a cold, something common that me or my loved one is going to get in the fall or the winter. So elderberry, great immune support herb. Ginger, it's nice and warming and stimulating and it can help balance a cold type illness. And then for my tinctures, I've chosen echinacea, a very traditional immune herb. It's antimicrobial, so it'd be great for any kind of viral infection. And then elecampane, which is another root. And it is just beautifully aromatic. It is very supportive of the respiratory system, help you breathe a little deeper, help lung issues, coughs. Elecampane's got your back there. Beautiful herb. I picked sage because it's aromatic and envision it being really beautiful in this formula, which is a great reason to include an herb too. But it is also helpful for the respiratory system. It's traditionally used for sore throats, often as like a gargle or a tea, but I think with the honey and with the sage, I think it could also be helpful for sore throats here. So I figured out what herbs I want in my tincture formula to go in my final elixir. I need to figure out how much of it I need. So I want to end up with 300 milliliters of finished product. And because the honey to tincture ratio in an elixir is 1:1 typically, I need 150 milliliters of tincture. So I'm going to do 60 milliliters of elecampane, 60 milliliters of echinacea, and 30 milliliters of sage to get 150. And doing this 1:1 ratio because my alcohol content of my tinctures is 50%. And the sage is actually a little more, but I know that with 50% alcohol content or higher, if I cut that in half, I'll have 25% or a little higher. And I know that at 25% alcohol content, my elixir will be preserved, and that's what I really care about because I'm putting in all this effort to make this beautiful herbal preparation and I want it to last. We are almost done with the elderberry honey. It's looking really good. It's getting to a deep kind of purple color. And so once it's done in a few minutes, I'm going to strain it while the honey is still hot and drippy, so it's easy to separate from the berries. And then I'll combine the elderberry honey with the ginger honey and mix it all together with the final tincture mix, and I'll have the elixir. Now it's time to taste it. Whoa! That is a roller coaster of flavor. That's so good. Wow, I don't even... I'm really proud. It tastes so good. Whoa. We gotta do another. We gotta try more. I could see this being really great for if you had a cold. It just seems uplifting. It seems like opening of your air passages. But wow, that's beautiful. It's really complex, especially when you're combining all those herbs. I'm so pleased how that turned out. Wow, first elixir, and it's really lovely. And that's it. We have a final elderberry elixir that turned out to be really wonderful. I'm so happy about that. If you like this video, I'll be doing more like this, making herbal medicine, but I'll also be doing some foraging and local plant identification, really just exploring the bounty that the earth has to offer us and bringing some of that nature from outdoors into our home so we can make just beautiful products like this elixir or incorporate things into a meal, into a dessert. It's in today's world, we're pretty disconnected from nature. So how can we bring some of that back, bring some enchantment back into our lives, bring some meaning by anchoring ourselves where we live? And so I harvested these elderberries several months ago, and I grew some of those herbs that are in here. And now I have this wonderful little product to help me and my family and friends when we're sick. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.